Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kenny, and we got my Civic out here today. Not much rotary stuff's gonna be going up today because I need to get this thing out of the way because I have a million project cars going on. I have my Cosmo over there, the BMW. I have property going on, and we did some property stuff last week, and so I figured I'd actually sit down and do my Civic. I know we're a rotary channel, we do a lot of rotary stuff, but I figured I might as well work on this car so I can get to the rotary car. So what I gotta do today is I actually, if you look down here at my turbocharger, it's leaking oil pretty bad out the turbine seal. So I bought a rebuild kit. I'm gonna rebuild the turbo. I need to get a new gasket for my turbo manifold, which I have as well. I need to replace this bolt with a nut, or put a bolt in there instead of a nut because it doesn't clear this runner very well. And do some minor modifications. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing, and hopefully learn something along the way. So I mean, taking off a turbo is pretty simple. This is the T4 Precision 6262. So there's gonna be 4 bolts right here on the manifold, one there, one there, one there, one there. This one over here is gonna be a little bit of a bitch to get, so I'll figure out how to get to that. But take off those 4 bolts, take off the V-band, take off the oil feed, take off the oil return, pull it out, then we're gonna take the turbo apart, and I'll show you guys how to do that. That V-band is just, it's full of oil. So if you look down in the turbo, you can see it that well, but that thing is just puddling oil. And the way that I know that it's the seal for sure is if you turn, the way I know it's the seal for sure is if you turn the wheel, it should spin freely. This wheel is not spinning freely to save its life. So I mean, it turns, but it doesn't turn over really easily. So I'll try to turn it this way here so you guys can see. That's me spin it, but like, it's got nothing. So the seal's interfering a little bit. But yeah, we'll see that when we actually take it apart completely. Alright, so now that I've taken off the oil lines, I was originally going to take the turbo out and then go from there, but I think the way it looks, I'm going to have to take the entire manifold out. So I'm going to have to take off all the lock nuts and shit, pull it out, pull it straight out. So I already have the radiator support actually notched for the turbocharger so it can fix it's too big to actually just go in by itself. So I'm going to pull it out. I might have to pull the intercooler off too, and then just pull it forward, maybe pull it through the front, or tilt it back and pull it straight up. So we'll have to see how this goes. This is gonna be a little bit of a journey, but it should work. So I use these copper double lock nuts. These things actually should be used very few times. So I might have to replace these entirely. Some of these don't look like they're all the way locked down. I might reuse them, but maybe not the best idea. Alright, so I have to pull my turbo manifold out of my car. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my intercooler off because I have to pull the turbo manifold actually down and out, and I don't want to damage my intercooler. So I just have it held up by 2 brackets. It's super easy to pull off. Just 2 12s on either side of the lower radiator. Absolutely not. I hate working on mine. Alright, so I got the manifold off, just pulled it down. So here's what I have. As far as a exhaust gasket, it's a piece of shit. So these things are garbage. I hate these to death. The only reason it's on here is because it's on the car. I didn't have enough time to order one to get on the car as fast as I needed to, but I've gone ahead and I've picked up a new gasket. A Cometic multi-layer steel gasket. And these are the tits. So I got one of these. This was I think $25. And honestly, you're never gonna fuck these up. Make sure you put them in the right way. But when you get them in here, they're completely worth it. So I'm gonna throw this on here, and we're gonna go with that. All right, so we trashed that junk. We got our Cometic. Just gonna throw it on here. It's gonna seal way better, way better. And you can only put this thing on one way, so don't worry about getting on backwards. If you try to put it on the other way, the holes don't line up quite right. So just throw it on, and it looks good. Alright, so I got the turbo out and I was being a stupid ass. I thought I couldn't pull it through the top, but then I realized, because last time I put it in, I didn't have my lower radiator support cut, so I couldn't pull it through there, but now I did. So I got the turbo set up right here, and I haven't really gone over my turbo yet, so I figured I might as well. It's a Precision 6262 T484 hot side. Top 44mm blow off valve. This is a custom turbo manifold made by modified by KC. Just a top mount. But I'm gonna go ahead and take all this junk off. Alright, so we got the CHRA and the housing removed from each other. Looking at the turbine wheel itself, there's a minimal to no damage, it appears. Also on the compressor, there's no damage there. So all the damage is inside of here, and it looks like, just from guesstimating, it's gonna be the rear turbine oil seal. There's really minimal to no shaft play. Honestly, if I wanted to, I could probably reuse the bearings and be fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the entire thing anyway, or see what at least what I can with my rebuild kit that I bought. But we're gonna go from there, throw it together, and put it back in the car. So the first step of getting this thing off, we're gonna take the compressor housing off. So we need to take these bolts right here. And if they're like the exhaust bolts, are gonna be 1/2 inches, so all of them are 1/2 inches, so take all these off. Just like that, compressor housing comes off. There's an O-ring on the front here. All right, so this is the main part of the turbo. You have the compressor and the turbine here connected by a shaft. So what we gotta do now is we gotta take off this front bolt from there. So. All right, so I've gone ahead and replaced the rear turbine seal. So now the actual, earlier, this is the original seal. Earlier when I was spinning it, it would make like a little bit of a grinding noise. That was because this wasn't actually, this wasn't sealing correctly. So I put a new seal in it. I spin it, it sounds buttery smooth. I'm gonna tighten down this compressor nut and then reassemble all the housings and put the turbo back in the motor. So I've got a wrench on the other side. Once again, it's lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down this side. Nope, it was on here good, so I'm gonna put it back on here good because this thing's gonna be spinning quick. So this is where it comes in handy to mark down your compressor housing. If you mark this down, you'll get it right back to the exact torque spec it needs to be at. I'm gonna take a guesstimate and hope to God that I don't fucking destroy my turbocharger. Just like that. We're gonna drop the compressor housing on now. Do it carefully, don't hit any of the wheels. Just like that. Compressor housing's now on the turbo. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and snug these bolts back up here. And the kit that I bought came with a whole bunch of new ones, so I might as well use them while we're here. Look at all these ones, yeah. Not too tight. The housing is indeed aluminum. So I've actually stripped these out before on my 67, 66. There's one of them stripped out. It's really annoying. Just make sure you get them on there snug. We got a rubber O-ring in there to make sure that it doesn't leak out. It might be a Viton, but you know what I mean. Now, so just cool. All right, so we have all the compressor housing bolts are on. We're gonna check the turbo for spinning again. Hold down the guard. Oh yeah. Sounds nice and smooth now. So I'm gonna grab the exhaust housing and the turbo manifold. We're gonna slide that back on here and put all the other bolts back in and then put everything back together. The compressor housing on, it's bolted up. Got our drain line facing down, so because the turbo's gonna be facing this way, drain line needs to face down. Feed line needs to face up. We're gonna go ahead and put the housing and turbo manifold and everything back onto the turbocharger. Carefully, don't want to bend any of the fins. Just like that. Get in there just like that. Good to go.
Somehow got on top of that. Apparently the earlier versions cuts of A New Hope were deemed unwatchable until it was
Little Rich, 12-1. She's on her warm up. Alright guys, so what's the next day? And I realized that I didn't shoot a recap or anything, but I did a little more progress in the car as well. I put in an oil feed line. It's a Vibrant dash 4 3-foot line. I'm running the line back behind the time belt. I need to get some P-clips for it. They're on their way. I'll have them tomorrow. I also need to get a 90 right off the turbo. I'm going to have it actually loop towards the front of the car, then back around. And that should make it a nice clean like turbo line setup. Because I don't know if you saw earlier, like it went like around on this on like the right side, and it looked a little weird, but I wanted to replace that line, have it running behind the time belt now. I also got a 90-degree fitting off my fuel rail, off my skunk rail, to hold my fuel pressure regulator, because originally I had it sitting over here on the strut tower, and you can see it's kind of beaten up my strut tower a little bit, so I went and replaced that. I need to paint that over real quick and make sure it doesn't rust out, but yeah, I replaced that to my fuel lab regulator. It's coming off the rail at an angle, so it looks way better, way cleaner. I think what's next for this car is I need to go through and do some tucking and some cleaning up, but like I said, I need a 90-degree fitting for this, get the P-clips for that, and yeah, I mean, I just have a few more things left before the car can hit the dyno, so hopefully I'll be able to show it to you guys soon. But up next we also have intercooler piping coming up. That's one of the reasons the turbo is not spinning at idle yet. It's not pulling vacuum through the turbo, so I ordered a whole set of 3-inch piping for it, so I'll have that here this week. I'm gonna have my buddy Derek weld it up for me, and hopefully I get some video of that for you guys as well. But for you guys saying that this is a Honda on a rotary channel, blah 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 blah, I'm just trying to get myself in the habit of shooting videos of what I'm doing with my cars and building and stuff. So I mean, if you don't like it, that's cool, but I mean, this is going to help in the long term when we do more rotary builds and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to figure out how to shoot it, what style it needs, and things like that. But I hope you guys appreciate this build a little bit for what it is. I mean, it's not a typical Honda build. It's an actual proper, you know, with real parts and badass stuff, and hopefully it makes some power. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.